Okay, today we're going to talk about circles and a fun word called circumference. Circles are a different kind of polygon. Actually, they're not a polygon at all because they have no straight edges. They're round, and basically any point on there could go through the center point. They're just really a different kind of shape. So today we're going to learn some vocabulary words that are associated with circles. So your I can statement is actually I know circle vocabulary words and can name them when shown a circle. So when we talked about polygons, we talked about how we name things based on letters in the circle. Well, we have to know what we're naming because there's so many different parts to a circle. So we're going to start with some vocabulary words. Yes, I do want you to write these vocabulary words down because we learned from writing things down. So we're going to start with this word diameter. Go ahead and say it. Diameter. A diameter is a line from one edge of a circle through the center of a circle to the other edge. And I'm going to show you what that looks like here in just a minute. I want you to go ahead and write this word down first, diameter. And then we have the word radius, line from the edge to the center of the circle. And I'll show you what that is here in just a little bit. Say the word radius. And then back to that really interesting words that's associated with circles. It's called a circumference. And a circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. And I'll show you what that means here in just a little bit. If you need to, take some time. Go ahead and pause the video. Write these down. Yes, write them down. I know you're just sitting there waiting. Do I have to write these down? Well, some of you are. But yes, write them down. I want you to have pen to paper writing these words down. They're important words that you will be using for the rest of your math career. So you need to know them. Not only your math career, but other things you might be doing. Circles come up a lot. Like I said, they're interesting creatures. We have to know all the vocab that's associated with them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the main the middle point of a circle. It's a tough one. Ready? This point right there, it's called the center. Dun, dun, dun. The center of a circle. And usually if there's a center of a circle, you're going to have some sort of letter next to it because it's a point, and we learn that points we name with letters. So I'm just going to call that one H. The next vocabulary word, so that's our center. The next vocabulary word I'm going to show you, this is a point, or this is a line from, oops, that's not what I wanted. This is a line from the outside edge, any part of the outside edge to the center. Yep, of course, my line's not making it all the way to the outside edge, so I'll just fill in here. It's a line from the outside edge to the center, and usually there's a point on the edge. So I like the letter J. So this is point J. From the outside edge to the center, this is what I had you write down. This is called the radius. So yes, I want you to write down the circle and draw the radius in there. The radius is going to be half of another word that I had you write in there. No matter if I'm at this point on the circle, or if I draw my radius from this into the center, or if I draw my radius from here to here, it's going to be the same distance no matter what. It's always going to be the same distance. So we can name this circle H has a radius of JH. The next one I'm going to show you, this is something different called the diameter. It goes from the outside edge all the way through the middle to the other edge. This is called the diameter. Go ahead and write that in there. diameter. I'm going to struggle writing sideways here. There we go. And it'll have a point on this end, and it'll have a point on this one. So I would call this diameter. I could use, I like L, and I'll put a D. So I'm going to call this diameter DL. If I'm asked to name what's the diameter, it's diameter DL. Every single circle that is out there will be made up of 365 degrees. So we learned that in a square, it has, if we add up all the angles, it will equal 365 degrees. A circle will also, if we added up the angles, will equal 365 degrees. Angle measures. Well, how do we get an angle in a circle? Well, we take a diameter and then a radius, and we put them together, or two radii, that's the plural of radius, put them together, and we create some sort of angle. This is could be called our central angle. Now, is that angle acute, obtuse, or right? Yep, it's a cute little angle. So if I were to name the central angle in this circle, remember my vertex has to be in the middle when I name it. So I would name this J, H, D, or I could do it backwards and do D, H, J, but my angle or my vertex has to be in the middle of that. All right, the next vocab word that I'm going to tell you. Sometimes we have lines that go from the edge of the circle and don't go through the center point. These are called chords. A chord, just like that. Okay, and last but not least, I want to show you what circumference looks like. Maybe I gotta get it different. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is around the outside of the circle. It's called the circumference. And there's a way I can figure that out, but we're going to talk about that another time. You just need to know how to identify what the circumference is. If I say circumference, I'm meaning the outside of a circle. Okay, so on this circle, I have the diameter is PIC. I would name that if they ask, okay, name the diameter of this, I would say, ooh, that's line PC. Like that. Sometimes they're going to say, hey, this diameter is 10 centimeters long. That means from this point all the way to this point, it's 10 centimeters. What's the radius going to be? And we need to know that our diameter is the same thing as 2 times the radius. That radius, remember, is from the middle point to the outside edge. So if I put 2 of those together, I'm going to get a diameter. So if they say, oh yeah, your diameter is 10, what's your radius? Well, 2 times r, what could I replace that r with to equal 10? That's right, my radius would be 5 centimeters. Remember, I'm not squaring, I'm not finding the area of this. It's just going to be 5 centimeters. Okay, on this one, if I were to name the radius, I would say, ooh, this is radius dt. And if they said, hey, your radius is 3 feet, what's your diameter? Well, remember, d equals 2 times your radius. Well, I just said your radius was 3 feet, so I plugged that in for r. R means radius. Means my diameter is going to be 6 feet. Because if I continued that line, I would have 2 sets of 3s. Sometimes they're going to have you name central angles. Well, there's more than one central angle on this one. We have, here's one central angle, here's another central angle, and here's another central angle. So we have a couple of different choices on what we are going to name if they ask us to name a central angle. I'm going to start with this angle right here, and remember my R has to be in the middle, so this would be, oops, I better do the angle sign so we know we're dealing with angles. This would be angle TRS. And then maybe I want to name this angle here. So that one I would be angle QRT. And then if I wanted to get crazy and name a third, I could name that one. And I would name that angle QRS. Remember, I can write these in the opposite order as long as my vertex stays in the middle. So it could be SRQ on that one. It could be angle TRQ on that one. And it could be angle SRT on that one. Notice that this middle, that R, that vertex is going to be in the middle on all of those.